Standing alone on the rooftop, Jungkook gazed into the distance, lost in his thoughts, his patience tested by the absence of the certain someone he is waiting for. 10 minutes late, and his frustration was growing. Where were they? He had seen them in morning though, and they never got late before. The minute ticked by and his frustration grew. His eyes roamed down the rooftop and his eyes caught a group of wild, typical bullies, harassing a quiet boy, snatching his bag and lunch box. What a crappy school, he muttered under his breath as he reached into his pocket, pulling out a cigarette and lighter as he placed in between his lips, ready to light it. He closed his eyes and inhaled the toxic smoke filling his lungs. Before he could take another puff, the cigarette was snatched from his grasp. He didn't need to open his eyes to know who it was. Told you 1,000 times not to smoke when I'm around. Opening his eyes, he looked beside him and found June standing there, crushing the cigarette beneath her foot. Her gaze met his, and the irritation was evident in her eyes. Jungkook knew she heard cigarette smoke, but he can't help it, and neither do he care. You know how expensive these are now, he said, pointing at the crushed cigarette at the ground, and she rolled her eyes. Still, you buy it? And do you have any problem with it? This is my money. Still not worth poisoning your lungs, she said, and Jungkook rolled his eyes in response, and without another word, walked over to the small concrete area where they usually sat to work together. Yoon is his school tutor for the past 3 months. They shared routine for studying on the rooftop since Jungkook struggled with a few subjects. It was the teacher's idea to assign Yoon to help him to catch up in his studies, and in their free time she tutors him. Jungkook, that's not how you do it. Yoon faced palm herself as he got the same question wrong for the nth time. But he told me to put this square root under 2. I told you to put the square root after this equation. But it's practically the same thing. Yeah, tell this to your math teacher and she will explain you in detail how this is the same thing. I don't want to do it, let's wind up. You didn't even complete one question. Oh, I didn't? Then let it be, he said nonchalantly and stood up packing his bag. Alright then, I will tell the teacher you are going to fail the next test too, and they will complain it to your parents. She shrugged it off and started to walk away, but before she could take more than a few steps, his hand around her wrist and his eyes darkened. You won't say a word to the teacher. And why won't I? Teacher especially told me to give him reports about your progress, and if I didn't, I'm gonna get in trouble, she said, and Jung stared at her for a moment. Do whatever you want. He released her wrist, his shoulders slumping with a sigh of defeat. I'm going to the teacher. Fine, he glared at her and had to fight back a smirk. For some reason, threatening him with his parents seems to be an effective way to make him obey. Tomorrow at 11 a.m., he said and walked past her, bumping his shoulder on her purposely, and her eyes widened. Hey, that's lunchtime, she yells, but he was already out of there, making her shake her head. This is one of the daily routine of their life. Yoon walked over to an empty chair in the cafeteria, carrying her lunch. She was famished, having not eaten since last night, and skipped the morning breakfast because she was getting late. With the hunger gnawing at her, she tore into her meal with gusto, not caring about the judgmental glances she received from those around her. As she devoured her sandwich, completely engrossed in satisfying her hunger, she finally glanced ahead, but her eyes widened as they met with the gaze of her crush, who was sitting not far away. She froze, feeling the sudden urge to choke her sandwich and momentarily forgotten the realization that her crush witnessed her less than graceful display of ravenous eating was mortifying. She felt intensely self-conscious, her face turning a shade of red as she quickly looked down at her food, reflecting her lack of self-control. The embarrassment was almost too much for her. Most of the time he was in cafeteria because of his school classes. She has a crush on him. He is a typical popular boy and everyone girls want him. Not because of his looks, but because of his attitude. He is not rude, mostly polite with her. That's what makes him more charming. He don't get in a fight, always the topper one. She remembered when it was her first day, he escorted her to her classroom and he was quiet with her all the way, but she never courage to talk to him, and now she has witnessed her taking the life out of sandwich. Why the hell he was looking at her? Oh yeah, because most probably she was eating like a pig. sudden thud on her table made her flinch and she looked up at an unexpected person. Why are you still here? Did you forget what I told you? Yun was taken aback by his loud voice, but that was not her concern at the moment. Yun glanced behind Jungkook and saw that her crush was no longer looking at her. She let out a sigh of relief. Thank God. Why are you here? I am here because I told you to come to the library during lunch break. I thought you do remember. Oh, okay. Then let's go. She said, looking usually flustered, her eyes starting towards someone behind her. Why are you acting weird? Me? No, I'm pretty normal. Her response didn't fully convince him, and he followed her gaze to see the boy she kept looking at. Jungkook made an evident disgust in his face as he looked back at him. So he's your crush? He asked her, calling her the few times his name always slipped from her mouth, but she tried to deny it. No, what are you talking about? He's not my crush. Jungkook raised an eyebrow. You are bad at lying too. Yeah, I know. Whatever, let's go. Yunori and they both made their way out of the cafeteria, but before leaving, Jungkook glanced back at Jaewon, who was now laughing with his friends. Jungkook, don't go without having breakfast. He heard his mom's voice. Just he was about to make a quick escape from the house. He paused, the familiar maternal concern in her tone giving him a moment of hesitation. Jungkook made his way to the kitchen where his mother was standing. Dad is not at home. No, he went somewhere in the morning. Oh, come here and have breakfast. I'm getting late for school. Just a few bites. You don't eat anything these days. Have you looked at yourself? You lost so much weight. Mom, don't worry about me, he said as he took a plate of fried eggs and toast and began to eat while standing. I'm your mother. How can I not worry about my own son? Mom, please. His mother shook her head and poured a tea into a cup, placing it in front of him. Eat slowly, you will choke on your food. That's even better, isn't it? Jungkook chuckled and mother shook her head. Stop talking nonsense. I'm already late. He washed his hand about to go when his mother stopped him. Cook, take care of yourself, please. I understand you are growing up, but you need to focus on yourself. Jungkook paused in his tracks. Her soft voice spoken plea tugging at his heart. He turned around to face her, and for a moment felt a pang of guilt for distancing himself from her. He approached her and gently held her hand, noticing the bandage wrapped around it. His finger traced the bandage as he spoke softly. Okay, Mom, I will. He gave her a tight-lipped smile and walked away from there without any word, not wanting to stay at the place anymore. Yoon was squeezed into the last available space in the crowded bus with barely enough room to stand comfortably. The morning is not really kind to her, and today was awfully crowded. She let out a groan when someone accidentally bumped their knees against her, and she remained silent, well aware that there was no space to move. She was cursing herself. She should have walked to school and didn't have to take bus. If she woke up early like always, and not 5 minutes before she clocked the stockade. You are late too. A familiar voice broke through her thoughts, and she turned her head to find Jungkook standing right behind her, just like hers. Yeah, well, you are looking at the queen of bad timing. Look like we're in the same boat today. We are going to get in trouble together. As the bus continued into Bangladesh, she sensed something unusual. At first, she shrugged it off because the bus is crowded, but her unease grew and she felt the same unusual sensation again, something brushing against her back. It was odd and her instinct got alert. Then she felt it for the third time, a pressure at her waist as if someone was squeezing her. Her hand instinctively went to grab Jungkook's shirt, her grip surprisingly tight, and her eyes darted around searching for the source of unwelcome touch. She glanced behind her, but the people were absorbed in their own activities and no one seems to be culprit. Jungkook, who was oblivious of what was happening, turned his head towards her, and then at her hand clutching his shirt. It was unusual for him to take a notice of someone helping, but seeing her distress made him uncomfortable in return. Her grip on his shirt remained tight, and you could sense her unease. It was a side of her head not seen before, vulnerable, uneasy, and in need of help. Though he was not the most empathetic person, the protective side kicked in. What's wrong? I felt someone touching me. Her voice was barely above a whisper, not sure how to express her discomfort with the situation. Jungkook lay behind her, his eyes scanning the surrounding, but everyone was busy and he can't accuse someone without knowing anything. Stay close, he placed himself between her and the rest of the passenger, effectively shielding her from any unwanted touch, and surprisingly the rest of the ride was good as they reached their school. They both made their way out of the bus, and without him knowing, he was grabbing her hand as they bit her lips as he kept holding her hand even though they entered the school. And it gives her tingle the way he protects her back there, but it's not the time to think about those things. If anyone saw her with Jungkook, it would undoubtedly lead to rumors and unnecessary gossip, something she wanted to avoid at all costs. She tried to release her hand from his grip, but only tightened. Jungkook? She tried to recall his attention without making things awkward. Jungkook, still in thoughts, finally turned his head towards her. He was not looking directly at her. He bit her lips once again, hesitating for a moment. You are holding my hand. And oh, realizing suddenly gone at him, and he instantly released her hand from his grasp. He felt a strange disappointment at the loss of the warm touch around her hand, despite knowing that it was for the best. They continued walking. She tried to match his pace, but he was walking large stride towards the class. Why are you following me? His abrupt question made her surprised and she blinked. My class is in the same direction. Jung didn't say anything and he pressed her lips together because the atmosphere was suddenly awkward, a lot more awkward. What are you doing on this Saturday evening? Yim blinked at the sudden question that thrown to her when all she was doing was trying to make him understand the question. Is this a statement in the math book? No, I was asking because her search heads off. Why was he asking? Yes, you were asking because I need extra lecture. The test is coming in few weeks. Right, since when did you start taking interest in studies? Well, now that I have, you should be thankful, shouldn't you? Me, no. Why would I be thankful you are going to fail if you don't study? She said in a matter-of-factly and Jungkook rolled his eyes. I can be a good student only if I want to. Oh really, I do like to see that. You will starting with this Saturday evening. Saturday evening, are you inviting me to a study session? Well, that was the plan, but now I'm having second thoughts. At the rooftop? Of course. Why don't you come to my house? That's better. I don't think so. His words cut off when the door of classroom opened and Sarah walked in. Jungkook, principal is calling you. Jungkook furrowed his eyebrow. Why me? Sarah shrugged her shoulders. I don't know. He looked back at you. Did you get in trouble again? She asked. I have no idea, but it's probably nothing. I didn't do anything. Jung gave a nonchalant shrug as he left the room. Even eyes were fixed on the entrance. It's been 4 days since Jungkook didn't come to school, and the thought of what had happened to him was deeply disturbing. They were sort of friends, but it was a weird kind of friendship. They had not exchanged phone numbers yet, so she had no way to reach to him. She didn't know what to expect, but she was growing increasingly worried. The last day she had seen him was the day the principal called him in his office. What happened at the principal office, or maybe he was just feeling unwell. If it was that the case, he would have told her. But why would he tell her? Her shoulders dropped as the teacher entered the class, and it became evident that Jungkook still had not shown up today either. Standing in front of the brown door, you and hands were sweating. Why the hell did she decide to come here? The plan in her head was looking so great, but now standing in front of his house, she wanted to run away. What if he kicks her out? You should have thought before you came here. Her thoughts were jumbled mess until the lock of the door opened abruptly, creating a loud noise that made her eyes widen in alarm. Someone was coming out of the house and she instantly hid behind the wall as the door slammed. A man that came out was cursing loudly, making her heart race. Okay, that was the bad idea coming here in the first place. Maybe this is not his house. Did they give me room address? I swear if he did. He was about to make a quick escape. That's better, she thought, but before that the woman in her late 40s was closing the door. Mom, is this Jungkook's house? She asked politely, and the woman looked at him aback because she seemed to be in a bad mood. No, it's his dad's house. Oh, okay, wait, what? I mean, it's Jungkook from the... Yeah, he's upstairs. She looked pissed right now. Oh well, wrong timing here. Today seems to be a really bad day. She opens the door for her, not asking who she is, where she comes from, and went inside with her head low. She was not sure what to expect when she faced Jungkook. As she climbed up the stairs, she tried to steady her breathing and summon some courage. Reaching the rooftop, Yoon hesitated in front of a glass door. It had "Do not enter" written on it. Paper in bold writing. Yoon heard the voice and nodded her head as she carefully opens the door and stepped inside. Everything was in disarray. Clothes were scattered on the floor, and the room was dimly lit like it is abandoned. Yoon saw on the laying figure on the bed in arms crossed, his arm covering his eyes, probably sleeping. The earphone was plugged in his ear. Did he sleep while listening to some songs? Because she didn't even notice her presence for her full step. She walked to him and stood beside his bed, deciding she should wake him up or not. Well, goddamn, everything is awkward. She tapped his arm and Jungkook stirred slightly but didn't open his eyes. He mumbled incoherently, his voice still hidden by his palm. She tapped his shoulder again, and this time he slowly opened his eyes. His gaze met hers, and for a moment they locked eyes. Jungkook blinked in surprise, trying to process the situation. He rubbed his eyes harshly, and Yoon pressed her lips together at how he looks clueless and cute. Wait, no, Yoon, gather your thoughts. Yoon? He sat up in the bed, blanket slipping to reveal his shirtless upper body. Yoon quickly looked away, feeling her cheeks grow warm. She really shouldn't have come here. Wait, what are you doing here? Now fully awake and aware of his surroundings. First, wear something. He grunted in acknowledgement and reached for a shirt from the side of his bed. Putting it on, he told her it was okay to look. He turned her head back to him and revealed that he didn't have to avoid her eye contact. Now tell me what are you doing here, but before that, how do you know where I live? Taehyung gave me your address. Taehyung? Yeah, you didn't show up for days and I wanted to check if you are okay. Jung narrowed his eyes. Were you worried for me? No, why would I? I was worried that you missed so many lectures. We have a test coming up, you know. Jung's lips curved into a smirk and settling back against the headboard, his earlier exhaustion seemingly forgotten. Jungkook chuckled at her response, and it made her feel like she had fallen into a trap. Oh, come on, admit it, you were worried for me. You must be delusional. I can't believe I wasted my time checking on you. Miss you to your temple. Why are you here? What do you want? Here is your notes. She said as she took the notes out from her bag and Jungkook was staring solemnly at her. Wait, did she really make notes for him? Why was he feeling weird? Well, good kind of weird. Jungkook blinked in surprise as she handed him the note. Jungkook blinked in surprise as she handed him the notes, their fingers brushing against each other, and Yoon was quick to pull away. You don't have to bring me notes, you know. I wanted to, it's not trouble. The door of the room abruptly opened, making both of them flinch in their places. Jungkook smiled at her mother. Mom, there is something called knocking. Shut up and go, I need some groceries. Jungkook faced mom himself. His mom really don't care that there is a guest. I will go later. Now. Yoon awkwardly scratched her nipple as her mom slammed the door tightly shut. Jungkook looked at her with apologetic eyes. Sorry, my mom usually don't behave like this. Jungkook broke the silence between them as they were walking together after buying groceries. Yoon said she don't have any special to do so she can accompany him. Jungkook denied but then agreed eventually that the idea was not that bad at all. It's okay, but she looked in really bad mood. You should have asked what happened. Nothing new, she must have a fight with Dad and she took her anger out on me. From the house was his father. That's something I can relate to. No, you don't. But he stayed quiet and walked with her quietly. You still didn't tell me why were you absent and about the principal too, what she... Well, that day she called me, told me if I fail again in any subject, she had no choice than to drop me from the school. He's got to remember that teacher strict words. So, are you going to take the principal warning seriously and start studying? If I get kicked out of the school, I will be in trouble. Can help you in your studies if you want. I mean, we have been studying together on the rooftop, so why not keep it up? Okay, let's do it. He smiled for the first time in a while as they reached his house. He took a deep breath. I should go now, it's already late. He nodded in which he needed to leave. As they both walked inside, he placed the groceries on the sofa and turned to her. You can go to my room and get your bag. You nodded and made her way to his room. Jungkook looked around for his mother, but she was nowhere to be seen, so he figured it out. She must be in her room right now. Since he knew his dad not going to come home today, that's why the house felt a lot quieter than before. Jungkook walked to his room today. He felt different. What kind of different? He never invites anyone in his room. Yoon was the first one who came here. Even he never invited him. Opening the door, he watched as Yoon placed her things in her bag. The whole time, one thing was bugging him. Was she really worried for him? Did she walk all the way just to check on him? Done. She let out and brought her backpack and smiled at Jungkook, who was just staring at her. Yoon, having no clue what's going on, Jungkook's head was ready to meet her way out of the room in his walk. Were you really worried for me? Was it worth? Yoon stopped in her tracks and gulped. When she turned around, Jungkook was looking at her dead serious. Huh? You hurt me. He was staring at her, waiting for an answer, and Yoon couldn't look him directly in her eyes. She didn't know how to respond, especially when she didn't even have an answer herself. She wanted to say no, but that would be an obvious lie. You're imagining things. Don't let this go over your head. It was Mike, not you. She didn't know how else to respond and she quickly averted her eyes. The word left her mouth in Russian. It seems like her heart was racing. Why is she feeling so nervous? You are bad at lying. Yoon gulped, but she didn't know when the distance between them closed and he was wrapping her on the door. She pressed herself against the door, unable to move any further as she felt a warm sensation against her head. Her heart was racing and as his forehead was pressed against hers. I know. His hands reached for her face and gently brushed her fingers across her cheek. The tender gesture sending tingles down her spine. His touch was soft and soothing. She instinctively closed her eyes, relishing in the warm feeling. It was such a simple touch, yet she felt it all over her body. And she had never felt like this before. She don't know what it was.